Boeing Starliner spacecraft was supposed to be the next big step in human space travel. It had the potential to become a reliable way to send astronauts to and from the International Space Station ISS, a key part of NASA's strategy to have multiple spacecraft options. But the recent mission didn't go as planned. After a series of technical failures during the 3-month mission, NASA made the difficult decision not to use Starliner to bring astronauts home. Instead, they relied on SpaceX's Crew Dragon. Let's explore the key technical failures that led to Starliner's downfall, the potential consequences for NASA's long-term strategy, and whether Boeing can salvage its position in the space race. The Starliner's mission took a dramatic turn when its thrusters failed as it approached the International Space Station. These thrusters, critical for maneuvering the spacecraft, suddenly stopped firing, putting the entire mission in jeopardy. Boeing's engineers on the ground worked frantically to fix the issue, but the spacecraft had already lost significant control. This thruster malfunction became one of the pivotal reasons NASA decided that Starliner was not safe enough to bring astronauts back home. But the problems didn't stop there. Starliner also faced helium leaks in its propulsion system, a serious issue that compromised the spacecraft's overall stability. Helium is used to pressurize the thrusters, and when it leaked, it further reduced Starliner's ability to function properly in space. Imagine being so close to the ISS, just moments away from docking, and then watching as your spacecraft starts losing control due to a technical glitch. For NASA, that's a nightmare scenario, and it raised immediate red flags about Starliner's readiness for future crewed missions. What makes this situation even more problematic is that Boeing can't fully diagnose the problem. The spacecraft service module, which houses the thrusters, is jettisoned before re-entry and burns up in the atmosphere. This means there's no way to physically inspect the part of the spacecraft where the malfunction occurred. Instead, Boeing has to rely on telemetry data from the mission to figure out what went wrong. And that's not always enough to pinpoint the root cause. These technical failures weren't isolated incidents either. Starliner has a history of issues, including its infamous 2019 test flight, where a mission clock error caused the spacecraft to burn too much fuel, preventing it from reaching the ISS. While Boeing fixed that issue in a later flight, the pattern of technical malfunctions has made NASA question whether Starliner can be trusted for future crewed missions. And with the ISS's planned decommissioning in 2030, time is running out for Boeing to fix these issues before the window of opportunity closes. NASA's original vision for space travel after the Space Shuttle program was to have 2 spacecraft providers, Boeing and SpaceX. This dual provider system was designed to prevent NASA from relying on a single company, especially in the wake of past disasters like the Challenger and Columbia. It was a safeguard, a way to ensure that if one spacecraft failed, the other could step in. This strategy, called dissimilar redundancy, was critical to NASA's long-term spaceflight plans. However, Boeing's repeated setbacks with Starliner have thrown a wrench into this plan. SpaceX, on the other hand, has flown 13 successful crewed missions since 2020, becoming the go-to option for NASA and even private customers. While NASA has been vocal about the importance of having 2 providers, Starliner's failures raise the question of whether Boeing can truly deliver. Can NASA afford to keep investing in a spacecraft that continues to face major technical problems? One of NASA's key concerns is safety, and this is where Starliner's failures become especially problematic. After the recent thruster issues, NASA made the tough call to keep astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore aboard the ISS, rather than risk their safety by returning them in Starliner. Instead, they'll come back to Earth in a SpaceX Crew Dragon. This decision speaks volumes about the current state of Starliner. It's not just about fixing technical issues, but about ensuring that NASA's astronauts have a reliable and safe way to get home. NASA's redundancy strategy is now at a crossroads. SpaceX has proven to be a reliable partner. But without a second spacecraft, NASA could once again find itself in a vulnerable position, similar to when it had to rely on Russia's Soyuz spacecraft after the Shuttle program ended. If Boeing can't fix Starliner in time, NASA may need to reconsider its long-term strategy. or look for new providers in an increasingly competitive commercial space market. The Starliner failure has significant implications for Boeing, both financially and reputationally. Boeing has already spent billions developing Starliner, including $4.2 billion from NASA's original contract. But that's not the whole story. Over the course of this program, Boeing has taken on an additional $1.6 billion in charges, including $250 million in just the second quarter of 2023. These delays and cost overruns are starting to weigh heavily on Boeing, especially as the company faces unrelated challenges with its commercial aviation division. Starliner was supposed to be a cornerstone of Boeing's space portfolio, a key part of NASA's Commercial Crew program and a competitor to SpaceX. But with every technical failure, Boeing's position in the space industry becomes more precarious. The company had high hopes for Starliner, envisioning it not only as a spacecraft for NASA, but also as a potential vehicle for private space tourism or other non-IS missions. However, those ambitions now seem far less likely to materialize. There's also the question of whether Boeing can fix the underlying problems with Starliner before the ISS is decommissioned in 2030. With only 6 years left for ISS missions, the clock is ticking. Even if Boeing manages to identify the issues with the thrusters and helium leaks, fixing them could take years. And that's assuming the problems can be fixed with existing technology. If a complete redesign is required, it could mean further delays and skyrocketing costs. In the broader space industry, Boeing's struggles are a stark contrast to SpaceX's continued success. SpaceX has not only dominated the crewed spaceflight market, but has also expanded into areas like satellite launches, space tourism, and even missions to Mars. Boeing, once a giant in the aerospace world, now finds itself playing catch-up. And with new companies like Blue Origin and Sierra Nevada Corporation entering the space race, Boeing's position is becoming increasingly uncertain. Boeing's Starliner was once seen as a key player in NASA's future, but after this recent mission, its future is more uncertain than ever. The technical failures, from thruster malfunctions to helium leaks, have exposed deeper issues with the spacecraft's design and reliability. NASA's redundancy strategy is now in jeopardy, with SpaceX proving to be the more reliable option for crewed missions. And for Boeing, the financial and reputational damage caused by these failures may be difficult to overcome. But all is not lost. Boeing still has time to fix Starliner and prove its worth. The question is, can they do it before the ISS decommissioned? And will NASA continue to support Starliner despite its setbacks? The next few years will be critical, not just for Boeing and Starliner, but for the future of human spaceflight. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on space exploration and scientific discoveries. See you next time.